At the family reunion, my dad said, "You've never made a real sacrifice for this family." My cousin laughed. "Yeah, must be nice being selfish." I stood up, laid a receipt-lined ledger on the table, and said, "Actually, it's been pricey." Then I left. Later that week, their subscriptions failed. The loans bounced. And they all got the same notification: authorized user removed. I started tracking the money when I was 13. I didn't think of it as keeping a ledger at the time. I just wanted to know where things went. When I lent my sister $20 for gas, I wrote it down. When I spotted my dad at the grocery store, or paid for the heating bill when the card bounced, again, I recorded it. It became a habit. Quiet. Automatic. At first I thought it was just for me. Then, eventually, I realized no one else was keeping track of anything. Not the bills. Not the favors. Not the damage. They always said I was different. Sensitive. Overthinking. My mom once told me she felt bad for me because I wasn't built for this family. She said it like a joke, and I laughed, but something in my stomach turned. It always did. It was around the time I turned 20 that they stopped even pretending. I was working tech support full-time, trying to climb out of student loan debt, and they just kept piling things on like I was made of money. My uncle's teeth. My cousin's car note. My dad's taxes one year when he forgot to file and got hit with penalties. They always came to me last minute. Like a fire drill. "We'll pay you back." They rarely did. One time, my brother's wife texted me for $300. For a family emergency. I sent it. 2 weeks later, I saw her on Instagram in Miami, holding a cocktail by a pool. I didn't even bring it up. It became clear that I was the family's fallback. Their invisible bank account. Their free trial of adulthood. I didn't have kids, a mortgage, or a wife, so they figured I had nothing better to do than fix their messes. Then Dad called a family meeting. No warning, no agenda. Just a text. "Important. Be there. Sunday 5 p.m. I showed up at the old house. Same brown carpet, same off-white blinds stained at the corners. Everyone was already there. Drew was on the couch, legs up, drinking one of my dad's beers. My sister Beth was texting. My mom was pretending to read a magazine. I stood by the wall. No one even said hello? Dad cleared his throat. "You know," he started, "I've been thinking a lot about who pulls their weight around here. About sacrifice. Loyalty." He looked around like he was casting a movie. Then his eyes landed on me. "And it occurred to me that Henry has never made a real sacrifice for this family." Silence. A pause for effect. Then Drew laughed. "Yeah. I guess it's good to be selfish." My mom didn't look up from her magazine. My sister smirked. No one said a word in my defense. I didn't speak either. Just left the room, walked to my car, pulled out the black folder from the glove box. I had printed everything. Bank statements, payment receipts, screenshots, Venmo records going back over a decade. I'd been organizing them for months. Not out of spite. Just clarity. I walked back in and dropped it on the table. "I've been keeping track," I said. No one moved. I opened it to the first page. It was the electric bill from 2016. The one I paid when the power got shut off and Dad told everyone the company made a mistake. Then the dentist bill for his crown. The one he never mentioned again. The emergency tow for my sister's car when she locked her keys in it while high. Page after page. "I guess it wasn't a real sacrifice," I said. "It was just expensive." Then I walked out. Didn't wait for a response. That week, things changed fast. Then Netflix stopped working. Spotify, Apple Music. Credit cards got declined. Auto payments bounced. Prime didn't renew. The Disney Plus account that 5 of them shared stopped letting them in. They all got the same alert on their phones and emails. "Authorized user deleted." No explanation. No reply from me when they called. I didn't answer. Not once. And still, that was only the beginning. At first, they played dumb. My sister Beth texted me a casual, "Hey, Disney Plus logged me out, did you change something?" Like it was a technical glitch. Then it was my mom, asking why her Amazon order hadn't shipped and if I could check the card on file. Drew called and left a voicemail. "Yo dude, I can't watch Netflix. It says the account's locked or something? Weird." I didn't respond. Not one word. By Thursday, the questions turned into demands. Dad sent me a voice message. He doesn't text much. You want to explain why your mother can't listen to her music and I'm locked out of my own Prime account? That last part, my own Prime account, actually made me laugh out loud. I'd been running all of it. Every subscription, every shared payment method, every temporary login. But now that it was gone, they didn't know what to do. For the first time in a long time, they had to figure things out without me. And it wasn't going well. Friday, I blocked them. All of them. Phone, email, social. The group chat was deleted, the shared spreadsheets were gone, and I changed every password linked to me. Anything with my name on it, poof. Gone. I spent the weekend in peace. Cooked for myself. Caught up on a book. It was the first time in years I didn't have to untangle someone else's mess. It almost felt like freedom. Then Wednesday came. Around 7 p.m., I heard Dad's old truck outside. The engine always sounded like it was growling, like it hated driving as much as he did. I looked through the peephole and saw him standing on my porch with that stiff, squared-up posture he uses when he's mad and trying to act like he's not. I opened the door, didn't say anything. He walked past me like he still lived there. Like he still had that kind of access. "You think this is funny?" he said. "Cutting everyone off? Humiliating the whole family over a couple dollars?" I stayed quiet. He glanced around my apartment like he was inspecting it. His eyes locked on the big flat-screen TV in the corner, the one he and Mom had given me 2 years ago for my birthday. It wasn't even top tier, and I chipped in for half, but it had their names on the receipt, so they treated it like they owned it. He walked straight over and, without a word, picked it up and slammed its screen down onto the floor. The crunch was quiet but final. A spiderweb of glass spread across the panel. Pieces fell off. "There," he said. "Now we're even." Then he walked to the door, opened it himself, and stood there like he expected me to stop him. I didn't. I just pointed outside. He left. I swept up the broken glass that night in silence. No music, no TV, just the sound of the broom and my own thoughts. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't call anyone. But something turned in me. I had tried subtle. I had tried quiet. I'd hoped that walking away would make a point. But he made it clear, he didn't just want to be free of my help. He wanted to punish me for taking it away. And that's when I realized, they weren't going to learn. Not without a lesson. So I pulled out my laptop and started a new list. Not of debts or favors this time, but of weak points. Things they depended on. Things they lied about. Things they'd hidden. Drew's sneaker resale business? Built on borrowed money and fake reviews. Beth's new mortgage application? Riding on a fake credit score and a debt she forgot I knew about. And Dad? Dad had something even more fragile. A pension issue he thought no one knew about, except I did. I wasn't just going to make them feel loss. I was going to make them feel small. I didn't move fast. Revenge, when it's done right, needs to breathe. It's not about rage, it's about rhythm. I started with Drew. He'd launched a sneaker resale business the year before, made a whole thing out of it on Instagram. Acted like he was a young entrepreneur grinding his way to the top. But I knew what it was built on: PayPal loans, a couple shady suppliers, and my money. He begged me for $2,000 for startup capital, and told me it would come back with interest. Never saw a cent. He also asked me to help him get a Stripe account verified, since he couldn't do it himself. I used my name. He begged. I agreed. Like an idiot. Now I removed my name. Quietly. Legally. Within 2 days, Stripe froze his account. Payouts were suspended. He posted something vague online about haters preying on your downfall, and fake friends turning on you. I didn't even smile. It was too easy. Next was Beth. She was 2 weeks away from closing on a townhouse with her boyfriend. They'd been working on the mortgage approval for months. What no one knew was that she'd used my bank account as a family gift donor to inflate her assets. She asked me to do it, said it would be temporary, just for paperwork. Said it would help her get out of Mom's house. I agreed. I didn't pull the money. I just sent a correction to the mortgage lender. A short, clean email with proof the funds weren't hers. That they were never a gift. That I hadn't authorized my name being used on the application. The loan fell through in 3 days. Beth called from a different number. Left a voicemail sobbing, asking why I would ruin her life. I didn't answer. She used the word betrayal 4 times. She didn't use the word thank you once. And Dad? I saved him for last. He'd always been proud of being a man who built things. He worked construction, then got into local contracting, and finally moved into property management. What he never mentioned was how badly he screwed up his pension during a housing flip that went sideways. He borrowed against it, tried to reinvest in something he couldn't finish, and never fully recovered. He thought no one knew. But I did. Because I was the one who fixed the paperwork when the IRS started sending him letters he didn't understand. I made the calls. I negotiated the payment plan. I kept the letters from getting to Mom. He told me he'd take it from there. He didn't. I knew the name of the firm that handled his pension. I also knew he had listed me as his emergency contact and part-time financial representative during that mess. I still had the login. I sent them a formal request to revoke my access. That alone wouldn't hurt him. But I also attached documentation he'd buried, debt disclosures, previous payment defaults, things that would trigger a red flag review of his eligibility status. By Friday, he got the letter. Pension suspended pending investigation. That night, he showed up again. But this time, he didn't come to the door. He just sat in his truck for half an hour. Engine running. I watched from the window. He looked at my house like it wasn't real. Like he didn't know who I was anymore. He drove off. I wish I could say it felt good. But what I felt was something colder. Quieter. They didn't scream anymore. No one sent angry messages. They went silent. Even Drew stopped posting. Even Beth stopped crying. I thought it was over. But a week later my doorbell rang. And standing there was my father. With a folder in his hand. The doorbell rang on a Tuesday afternoon. I'd just come back from work and was heating leftovers when I heard it. I almost didn't answer. I hadn't spoken to anyone from the family since Dad smashed the TV. I didn't even want to know who it was. But I opened it anyway. And there he was. He didn't say a word. He was holding a beat-up gray folder like it was fragile. Looked different this time. Not angry. Just hollow. He held it out, but I didn't take it. So he placed it on the porch bench next to the door, nodded once, and walked off. Didn't look back. Didn't say goodbye. I let the folder sit there. I walked past it twice. Heated my food, ate in silence, did the dishes. Every time I passed the window and saw it still there, it felt heavier. Like it was dragging on the entire house. Around 9 p.m., I brought it in. Inside were papers. Yellowed, stapled, messy. Copies of debt statements, late notices, and one letter from a Veterans Affairs Support Center, dated last year. It was short. Cold. His benefits were terminated due to inaccurate income reporting. He'd lost over $800 a month, and he never told anyone. He'd been hiding it all year. Beneath the letter was a note, handwritten in thick black ink on a torn sheet of notebook paper. You win. It's all yours now. Just remember what you broke. Don't come back for the funeral. You don't belong to us anymore. That last line sat with me. I didn't feel angry or proud. I felt nothing. Just a quiet confirmation of something I already knew. I hadn't belonged in that family for a long time. Maybe never. Taped to the back of the folder was a photo. Old. Me, around 9 or 10, holding a plastic model airplane in the backyard. The sun was too bright in the shot, the colors faded. Dad was in the background, turned slightly away, not even looking at me. Just standing there. I remembered that day. I'd saved up for that plane with birthday money and chores. Crashed it 10 minutes after I unboxed it. Sat in the grass crying, holding the broken wing in my hand. No one came over. I kept the photo. Threw out the rest. For the next 2 weeks, nothing happened. Then slowly, I noticed the shift. Drew texted me from a number I didn't recognize. Just one sentence. You were right. 2 days later, Beth sent me a message that started with, I don't expect you to forgive me, and ended with an offer to meet for coffee. No pressure. She said she just wanted to talk. Said she didn't know how bad things had gotten. I ignored them. But then something strange happened. I started getting tagged in posts. Drew posted a selfie in his warehouse, captioned, starting from scratch. This time with honesty. Inspired by someone who finally showed me what real backbone looks like. Beth made a donation to a community food pantry in my name. I only found out because they emailed me a thank you note. Even Mom, who hadn't spoken to me directly in months, sent me a message one evening. It was short, and it didn't sound like her. "We leaned on you because we didn't know how to stand. I'm sorry. That's all." None of them asked for money, or help, or logins. They just wanted me to know they were trying. And maybe they were. But I wasn't naive. I'd seen too much. Carried too much. The damage wasn't undone just because they finally saw the cracks. So I waited. Watched. Until something even stranger happened. Dad sold his truck. The one he swore he'd die with. Used the money to fix up an old duplex and offered it rent-free to a woman with 2 kids who'd been evicted from his old property. A neighbor told me. Said, "I don't know what changed in him, but it's like he's trying to pay back something." I didn't react. Didn't text. Didn't call. Because I wasn't done yet. There was still one move left. Not for revenge. For legacy. Something they couldn't undo, couldn't ignore. And when I made it, they wouldn't just remember my name. They'd follow it. The idea came while I was watching a panel on personal finance and community equity. Just a background noise thing while I was sorting receipts for tax season. One of the speakers, a retired social worker, said something that stuck with me. "The best revenge is building something they can't access, but wish they could." I turned off the TV and just sat there for a while. They had used me because they could. They had depended on me because I let them. And now that they had finally hit bottom, they were looking for handholds. But I wasn't going to throw them a rope. I was going to build a platform they could only admire from a distance. So I started planning something bigger. Something that would take the pieces of everything I had carried for them, money, time, structure, and turn it into something real. Something mine. I registered a nonprofit. Took 3 weeks to file the paperwork, get the tax-exempt status in motion, and open a bank account. I called it Second Ledger Foundation. No one got the name at first. But I did. I used my tech background to set up the infrastructure. Pulled in a few people from work who'd been quietly looking for a cause to support. I didn't advertise it on my personal accounts. I didn't invite family. It started with one program, financial literacy and legal aid for people who'd been taken advantage of by their own families. Quiet abuse. Debt traps. Borrowed, money that never came back. The kind of things no one wants to talk about but almost everyone knows. I told a few stories anonymously, true ones. My stories. People responded. Donations started coming in. Not huge ones, but consistent. Then I launched the podcast. Weekly episodes. Real people, real stories. The first episode was titled, Authorized User Deleted. I didn't use names. But anyone who'd lived it knew exactly what it meant. It started growing. Fast. 1 month in, we were featured on a blog. 2 months later, someone wrote a think piece about the quiet rebellion of adult children setting boundaries. That brought in even more attention. And then it happened. Beth messaged me again. Someone at my office shared a podcast episode and said it reminded her of my brother. It was yours, wasn't it? I didn't answer. Drew tried to tag me in a story about breaking the cycle. I removed the tag. Then Dad. The big one. He sent a letter. Handwritten again. This one was longer. He didn't apologize. Not exactly. But he said he listened to an episode and something clicked. He said he didn't realize how loud silence could be until he heard his own behavior described by someone else. He asked if he could help. Said he had tools, time, and maybe some repairs he could offer to people trying to get back on their feet. I read the letter 3 times. I didn't reply. Instead, I added a new section to the website. Volunteer applications. Anonymous. Structured. No favorites. No family shortcuts. If he really wanted to help, he could go through the process. Just like everyone else. For once, I didn't need to block anyone. I didn't need to say no out loud. The system said it for me. And the thing was, they didn't disappear this time. They applied. All 3 of them. Beth started proofreading grant applications. Drew helped with social media. Dad built 3 wheelchair ramps in the first month. They didn't talk about it. They didn't try to spin it. They just showed up. But I still had one more part left. Not for them. For me. It's been 6 months. Not a symbolic half year, not a clean chapter ending. Just 6 real, lived out months of silence, change, and work. The nonprofit is running like something alive. There are systems in place now, teams, schedules, goals. We've helped more people than I expected, faster than I thought possible. People write in every week. Some of the stories I read feel eerily familiar. Not in the details, but in the rhythm. A kid paying a parent's debt. A brother who always lends but never asks. A daughter who disappears inside someone else's expectations until she forgets her own voice. They all end the same way, exhaustion and the quiet question. Is it selfish to stop? It isn't. I say that every time. We released our 10th podcast episode last week. One of my favorites. A guy from Texas told his story about giving his mom a credit card to just use for emergencies, and how 2 years later, he was still paying off her cruise, her cable, and her Uber Eats. He deleted her access the same night he heard our second episode. He said he cried when he did it. Then slept for 10 hours straight. People don't always realize how heavy guilt can be until it's off you. And the funny thing is, my family stayed in the picture. But differently. Beth now manages weekend programs for us. Quietly, without credit. She hasn't asked for anything since. She just works. I saw her leading a budgeting class the other day. It was surreal. She was using one of my old spreadsheets, the ones they used to laugh at. Drew has been consistent too. He runs our social accounts. He's good at it. Surprisingly good. No snark, no passive-aggressive jabs. Just honest posts, tips, and the occasional quote about rebuilding yourself. And my dad, he still hasn't said sorry. He probably never will. But he applied for a tool grant through our community improvement program, anonymously. We flagged his name, but I approved it. I watched him rebuild a porch for a woman who lived 3 streets from where we grew up. He didn't take a photo. He didn't ask for a thank you. He just left when it was done. It's strange how people can change when you stop letting them treat you like an extension of their own failure. And that's really what this whole thing has been about. I spent years trying to earn something that should have been automatic, basic respect. I bent myself into pieces so they'd feel whole. I gave away parts of my life to fix theirs. I thought if I did it long enough, they'd see me as worthy. But they never would. Not until I stopped asking. Not until I made them feel what I'd carried. The ledger wasn't revenge. The deletions weren't revenge. None of this started as a punishment. I just needed them to look. And when I took everything away, they finally did. Here's what I know now, after everything. If you don't respect yourself, no one will do it for you. You have to draw the line, not in sand, not in kindness, but in stone. And once you do, the people who belong in your life will step up to meet it. The rest will stay behind. You can't fix people who treat your love like a favor. You can't make them wake up by giving more of yourself. The only way out is to stop giving them anything they haven't earned. I'm not angry anymore. That's the biggest surprise. I thought this would end with me cutting them off and walking away forever. But what actually happened was better. I stopped needing them. And in that space, they had to choose, evolve or disappear. And they evolved. Slowly. Clumsily. But they did. Now I live with boundaries so solid they feel like walls, but the thing is, they have doors. Real ones. Not everyone gets to walk through. But if they're willing to knock, if they're willing to wait, I'll open them. And that brings me here. This post. The last one, I think. I've told the whole story. I've said what I needed to say. And I've gotten more peace from this than I ever expected. I came to Reddit to drop a match. I didn't think I'd end up planting something instead. So next time I'm back, if I come back, I want it to be for something good. Maybe I meet someone. Maybe the foundation grows. Maybe I finally take that trip I'd been putting off because someone always needed something. Whatever it is, I want it to be mine. No receipts. No debts. Just something good. Until then, thank you for listening. Respect yourself. Build the damn boundary. And don't apologize for making people uncomfortable when you finally do. Sometimes I still walk past the TV section at the store and think about the one Dad smashed. Not because I miss it, but because of what it meant back then. A symbol of control dressed up as generosity. Now I've got a better one at home, bought with my own money, delivered on my schedule. No strings attached. That's the difference. I also started flying again. Not often, Just a couple solo weekend trips to places I'd always said I'd visit, after things calmed down. Portland. Asheville. Next month, maybe Colorado. I don't have to check anyone's schedule. I don't have to ask permission. And I've been writing more. Not just grants and podcast scripts. Personal things. Journals. Even a rough start on a book, part memoir, part survival guide for people like me. People who gave too much for too long, thinking love and usefulness were the same thing. They're not. I know that now. It's strange. All those years I spent begging for recognition, and the moment I stopped asking, I got it. Not in the way I imagined, but in a way that actually matters.